All right, everybody. Mark Burgess here, Big East Bass Fishing. Going to bring you a very interesting video here today, okay? Some might say a bit controversial. Some might say a little bit of letting the cat out of the bag. We are going to have a conversation regarding the information rule, okay? So, information, no information, the information rules that different organizations have in place. We're going to talk about it coming right up. All right, everybody. So let's get right into it. Okay, so as most of you know, I've been in the game for quite a long time. Started fishing professionally back in the late 90s, and that really accelerated up through the 2000s, mid-2000s, into 2009 and 10, fished the Bassmaster Elite Series. So I've experienced it all, okay? Especially in regards to information sharing, okay? So I'm going to spill my guts on the real deal, okay? What really went on? What's the history of information sharing in professional fishing? Okay, so let me tell you how it was. And we're going to go through it into right now, all right, and how we got to where we are. All right, so first of all, information, right? Information, number one, is only as good as the source, right? But it's so much more than that. Depending on where you live in the country, like the Northeast here, our situations with our water bodies change, especially in the spring, by the minute, certainly by the day. Our patterns don't last very long, okay? What's going on now may not be the deal tomorrow, or even especially next week, several weeks, never mind a month, right? South, southeast, southwest, midwest, like you get out to, say, Lake of the Ozarks, right? In the fall, that buzzbait bite, it lasts for months. The gizzard shad get in the backwaters, secondary points, chunk rock banks, feeding on the little green algae. Everything's trying to eat them. House cats, every bird known to man, certainly all the bass, right? That pattern lasts to the point where there's so many leaves on the water from them falling in the fall that you can't even make a clean cast, right? They last a long time. We don't have that, okay? So information is relevant to that particular time, all right? So our natural bodies of water, patterns will last a little bit longer. Fish location is basically seasonal, and you can almost count on it from year to year on a natural body of water. Man-made impoundments, not so much. I mean, they're controlled by a dam. They're generating power. They're releasing water to control flood situations. They're holding back water to maintain, a certain lake level for dock owners. Okay, look at Gaston, Bugs Island. Gaston stays pretty level. Bugs Island goes up 20 feet up and down. Okay, so information, again, is only as good as the source. It's only as good as the time of year. And it's kind of like evolved into the information that people look for now is not so much waypoints than it is just general lay of the land, okay? What's the lake fishing like? What is the lake going to be fishing like? Okay, if you're in an off-limits period, say a month, all right? What's going to be happening during that time of year. Where are the fish for the most part? What are they feeding on? What's the water temperature going to be like? How does a south wind affect the bite versus a north wind? Just general rules of thumb like that, just to kind of put a guy in the right area. I mean, as I sit here, we're a little ways out from Thanksgiving, it's just past Veterans Day. I received several calls from guys around the country fishing a lot of these championships that are going on, that have gone on, looking for that type of information. They didn't want waypoints. Not one of them mentioned a waypoint. Everybody's aware of the off limits and the no information rule. Okay, so the first conversation, we started to talk to my buddies, and then, it's like, when's your off limits? Yeah, we're good. It's not until whenever. Okay, fine, we can talk. Everyone is highly aware of that. And that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing, I feel. The information they're getting is general, all right? And it just puts them in an area of the lake that, in my opinion, I will tell them, in my experience, this is what I think. This is how I did. This is what it took to win, which is public information. The guys that did well were doing this. I was doing that, or I was doing that, but not in the right area, whatever the case may be, right? Different baits, stuff like that. But again, when you get there, it's all about the current conditions, right? Is the water temperature similar? Is the weather similar? Is the water level, okay, similar? We had a drought situation across the country this year. Then we've had a lot of rain recently. So how's that affecting everything? It still comes down to just having to catch them, right? Figure it out and catch them. But guys want to kind of get in the ballpark. Okay, we use that analogy, right? They don't want to know where, first base is and home plate. Okay, that'd be great, but I mean, a lot of information that you get is not that accurate. Okay, or it was meant in the best intentions, but trying to catch somebody else's fish is very difficult. All right, it could be cast angle. It's different on different wind directions. It's different on if it's a tidal situation, okay, especially. It's different on these man-made impoundments, whether they're releasing water or not, okay? So it gives you a place to start, all right, and to try to work it out from there, if you will. But it's not etched in stone, go here, do this, catch fish, all right? It does not work that way. Never has, okay? Back in the beginning, getting information was the deal. Everybody did it. And I mean everybody, okay? No one is exempt. When you're working, and they get this information from local guys, working sports shows, outdoor expos, going to do open houses, any kind of pro staff responsibility, in a meet and greet situation, local guys just come up and just absolutely regurgitate, just throw up all over the guy, not to gross you out, but just, where to go, what to do, what to throw, information, emails, phone numbers, all of that, okay? So back in the day, it was widely known. If you don't know this already, now you do. You developed a network of people around the country. Okay, and I've fished from Maine to California, Mexico to Canada, all right? So you meet a lot of people. Social media has really, dialed that in big time. But back in the day, it was one-on-one with guys. And, it was always interesting to me when guys would say, wow, the pros are so good. I mean, they show up in this lake they may have never seen before. And man, they're just hammering them. They're right on them. There's a reason for that. And I think you can put two and two together there, okay? Case in point, I don't know if it was 2009 or 10. We're fishing Arkansas River, Elite Series, Arkansas River. And it was flooding pretty bad. A lot of flow coming down the river, a lot of debris in the river. I was excited because I really put together a nice deal. Okay, so I was catching them. All right, and basically the talk amongst us all was it was going to be tough. Local guys have an advantage, where they knew how to run into places which looked like you were going to leave half your boat behind if you missed something by 6 inches. Okay, so yeah, there's those guys out there. There's a few of those guys have that in their back pocket. Okay, but from me, I felt that I was going to do well, like top 10 well. That's how good I was doing. And the halfway through the last day of official practice, they let us know that they were moving the venue because it was too dangerous. All right. Back then, I lived a little bit looser, just a little bit more by the seat of my pants. Running past stumps and over logs and things like that didn't really bother me. I did what I had to do, okay, to go where I felt I needed to go. All right. So anyway, stuff coming down the river, you're just trying to be careful. But Bass made the decision to move it to Fort Gibson on the last day of practice. So we had half a day of practice. We had to get off the Arkansas River, go over to Fort Gibson. I'd never even heard of Fort Gibson. Come to find out, Tommy Biffle lived on it. All right. He didn't even practice the last day. He cut his grass. True story. And he ended up winning the tournament. Now, yeah, did he help a few guys that were in the tournament, his buddies? Absolutely. Okay. With the Edwin Evers and guys like that, they knew the deal. Terry, it's just guys that live out there that fish that area a lot in Arkansas, East Oklahoma area, Northeast Texas, East Texas, Texarkana. They knew the deal. So, yeah, there was a handful of guys when we went over to Fort Gibson. Obviously, if there was 100 guys in the Elite Series, I don't know, I'm guessing 25 of them, were dialed. The rest of us, not so much, and you had to try to figure it out. Well, wouldn't you know it, that the majority of the field landed on him, okay, and caught him really good. People say, wow, they figured that out fast. Yeah, they did. Yep. So again, put two and two together. So the network was important back then. There was no information rule. That was the norm. I'm not throwing anybody under the bus at all. That's how the guys that fished at that level went around the country and basically got in the ballpark. And in a lot of cases, waypoints and things like that, they found out where home base was, where the pitcher's mound was. They were dialed, okay, because of information. All right. They still had to catch them. All right. Still had to catch them. And when you get, that's why you see a lot of information rules right now. Like we have one coming up for this year's regionals. It's again back on Lake Champlain. And instead of like a 3-week to a month off limits, there's only a 1 week. There's a 7-day off limits. Okay. They shortened it up. And I'm okay with that. All right. And the reason, that works because in that 7 days, that's where, anyone who's fished competitively knows that you're always trying to put together a pattern. Even if you're junk fishing everything that's in front of you, the shallow to deep, the whole process is to put together a pattern, okay? When you find a pattern, right, and when you start catching them, that pattern is usually peaking. So within that 7 days, that's where I think information can be most helpful, all right? So that's why it's a 7-day off limits. There's all variations, okay? Local level, you might have like the Tuesday or Wednesday before or a couple days before, which is fine. Other tournament trails are 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Elite Series is when they release the schedule for next year. You can't get any information on any of those bodies of water on how to locate and catch bass. All right. You see a lot of guys this past year, especially, get caught up in that, which several of them, I'm not going to mention any names, several of them for sure not guilty of that. Okay. But it triggered the polygraph. Okay. So talking to one of your buddies that you see once a year or maybe once every 2 or 3 years when you go there and you go have dinner with them or something like that, about a place, that you caught them years ago that you have no intention of even going to or acting on, the intent was not there. I mean, come on, really? I mean, it's pushing it, okay? But the black and whiteness of a polygraph doesn't allow for that, all right? It's either, it's good or bad, right? Yeah, positive or negative. So in other cases, I think it was kind of blatant and obvious. But old habits die hard, I guess, right? So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, information was widely accepted and known for every single angler competing, especially on a regional or a national level. There's tournament directors that compete in tournaments regionally, locally, regionally. They know the deal. I mean, they're depending on how far back you go, they're part of it. Everybody was getting information to some point. You got maps, guys marked maps up, and we're sharing GPS coordinates, all of that, okay? And it was allowed and accepted and widely practiced, all right? Now, not so much, and it's a big issue right now. It really, you see, guys are basically, it's costing them their careers, not only the amount of money that they lost, sponsorships that they lost. I mean, like I said, it could be their careers. They can't, disqualification like that, accusations like that. It could. Basically, they're all done, okay, and that's sad. That's not good. So the different organizations are going to do what they're going to do, and those are the rules that everybody has to abide by. So if you want to participate in that particular trail, or if you've qualified for that, or you're on that trail, that's just the way it is. All right, it's not what it once was. Some people have, I've had a lot of conversations about this. Some people have dragged into forward-facing sonar. How can you enforce like a no information rule? How is that? Like somebody tells you to go to Backwater Bay or some crazy stuff, or run up the river, or fish the grass. When you go to Okeechobee, you fish the grass. Really? Okay. Forward-facing sonar, they're fishing the canals right now. Okay, but you get my point. Like we have a few local lakes around here. It's basically a big hole filled with rock and water. When you go to X Lake, fish the rock. Really? Okay. I mean, come on. So I think all that needs to be taken into consideration. The pros on the Elite Series wanted to enforce this rule, this no information rule. They're talking about guys getting waypoints from local anglers. All right. And, another little secret was, and, it was not known to me at the time, but public information is accepted. So somebody would make a website, create a website or a podcast, and talk about where to go, what to do, where to throw, waypoints, all of that, publish it on this website or this podcast that really only 2 people knew the link to, all right? And it was the person who made it and the person who received it. Is it public information? Yes. I suppose if you put in the right keywords, maybe you'd see a link to this particular website or podcast. Who knows? Chances are no. So there's lots of different ways they get information. And if you're inside that no information rule, I mean that's the rules. You shouldn't do it. Period. End of story. Follow the rules. Rules are there to keep everybody on the same level playing field. That's just what you have to do. Okay, so you break those rules. If it's blatant, then punishment fits the crime, right? So, but I think there needs to be some consideration in certain situations. I just saw another example yesterday. A guy just having a conversation. It triggered the algorithm, not algorithm, but the polygraph. When he talked about it, was in the back of his mind, and the polygraph detected on that particular question that he might not have been truthful. It was truthful, but he was nervous about the fact that, we had discussed, whatever it was, but it wasn't about finding and locating bass. All right, it wasn't solicited. Okay, his intent was not there. So I think the no information rule is a good thing, especially when it gets closer to the event. This far out for a tournament, they get months off now. We get the Classic coming up, February, whatever, March. And they're going to start the season. Typically, a lot of them start in January. Out further from that, I mean, general information, you can find that online. All right, so you can go and you can look up what the flow rate is, what generation schedules. You can see what the water temperature is. You can see what the lake level is. You can look at the forecast and know that it's been a drought or know it's been raining a lot. So I don't, it's public information out there. Someone telling you that same information, is that enough to, be disqualified from the trail that you make your living on? All right, you've chosen to go in that direction to build your career, and then you get disqualified for something that's like just general like that. I don't know. It's an issue. It's a big issue. And that one that I haven't really seen talked about all that often. I certainly haven't heard anybody talking about what I just told you as far as how it was and all of that. So let me know your thoughts. I'm going to start to say, people have tried, they've started to bring forward-facing sonar into it. Like, how can you, disqualify that person, but got general information, and then, but said other person over here can, basically put forward-facing sonar in the water and, spotlight fish, see fish swimming and target them and see how they're relating to their bait, make adjustments to catch that fish, almost like you're sight fishing, right? Looking at them and watching their body language and their movement to determine if that fish is catchable or not, where to throw the bait, what type of reaction the fish is showing, based on your bait, based on how you're moving the bait, all of that. It's the same thing. In my opinion, one's got nothing to do with the other. Nothing to do with the other. But people are bringing it into the conversation. Okay, so it is, you can't help that. So let me know your thoughts. I could go on and on. This is more like a podcast conversation where I would love to have a couple other people in the conversation and maybe open it up, a phone line or whatever, a text line or something, to questions and comments and people's where they come down on this. Okay, so no information, the conversation. Let's have it. All right. So appreciate you checking out another video, and let's see what we can come up with it. All right. Everybody have a great day. Should be talking to you before Thanksgiving, but if I don't, happy Thanksgiving. Everybody have a safe and healthy holiday with your friends and family. All right. So, all right. Talk to you later.